Hi, female settlers! Welcome to the Female Settler channel, your guide for education, financial, and career opportunities to integrate and thrive in Canada. This video is part of our full-time grant series for students living in Canada and is especially going to focus on free funding available to British Columbia residents studying full-time in post-secondary. Now, this free funding does exclude government scholarships and awards that are potentially available to you. So there is a potential that you could receive more free funding, including what I'm offering today. Now, first on the list is a grant called the BC Access Grant. Now, this is a grant of up to $4,000 per year for students in undergraduate programs for less than 2 years, or a grant of up to $1,000 per year for undergraduate programs for 2 years or more. Now, it's not really clear why there is a differentiation in the grants or why people in certificate programs, so those are mostly programs that are less than 2 years, get more than students in degree programs or diploma programs. Now, the BC Access Grant is based on 3 things. 1, your financial need, where your expenses are more than your income. And obviously you have to be a full-time student, and the BC Student Family Income Threshold. So there are 2 income thresholds. There's one for the full-time program of less than 2 years, and then there's one for programs 2 years or more. So, for example, here, as you can see in the chart, if you are a family size of 3, you will get the maximum amount of $4,000 if you are in a program less than 2 years. So if your family income is also less or equal to $57,469, again, you get the maximum. Now, once it's over that amount, the grant amount you get will be prorated based on your income, so you won't receive the maximum of $4,000. You might receive $3,000 or $2,000. Now, this is prorated based on your income until you reach $125,037. Anything over that amount, you get 0. So for programs of 2 years or more, the income threshold to receive the minimum grant is the same. So it's $57,469, but the cutoff amount is much lower. So for a family size of 3, the cutoff in which you would receive $0 is not $125,000, but it's about $74,361. Now, the great thing is that you could potentially receive this grant on top of the Canada Student Grant for full-time students. Now, keep in mind that you do need to be a resident of BC. So you must have resided in BC for 12 months or more, or your spouse must have resided in BC for 12 months or more. Or if you are a permanent resident, protected persons, BC must have been the first province that you landed in. So if you landed in Ontario for 1 month and then you now come to BC, you will not be eligible. You'd have to actually apply for Ontario student loans. Plus, you also have to be going to a public post-secondary institution in BC to qualify. Now, the second grant is quite specific, and it is called the Nurses Education Bursary. The Nurses Education Bursary is a bursary of $2,000 per year for students studying full-time in a nursing program of no less than 4 months in length. Now, this program must be in BC and must lead to either a degree, certificate, or diploma that you can actually use within the nursing profession. Now, family income is not needed here, but you still have to have financial need to qualify. And for this particular bursary, there are deadlines to apply. Keep in mind this when you are submitting your BC Financial Assistance application. Next on the list is the BC Access Grant for students with disabilities. Now, this is a grant of up to $1,560 per year to help full-time students with disabilities. Now, to qualify for this, you do have to have financial need. You also have to be in a full-time program and must have a permanent disability. Now, this is permanent disability as defined by Canada's Student Financial Assistance Program. Now, this amount is on top of what you could receive from the Canada Student Grants for students with disabilities. And there's no threshold of income that is needed for this. Now, the next grant is called the BC Supplemental Bursary for students with disabilities. Now, this is an additional grant to qualify for $800 if you are actually eligible for the Canada Student Grant for students with disabilities. Again, you just get this while applying for the BC Financial Assistance Program as well. Now, the last funding is called the BC Assistance Program for students with disability. This is a grant of up to $10,000 to help students with disabilities pay for any education-related services or equipment. Now, this is equivalent to what is called the Canada Students Grant for Services and Equipment. Now, this grant, the BC Assistance Program grant for students with disability, is only available if you've actually used up the Canada Student Grant for Services and Equipment. So now you know all the free funding available to you as a full-time post-secondary student in BC. So if you are in a degree program in BC, you could potentially get up to $20,000 in free funding from the federal and provincial government, depending on your situation. All in all, BC would be an ideal province for post-secondary education based on the grants that you receive, because you receive both the Canada's grant and the BC's grant. However, the province's cost of living is very high, especially when it comes to housing. So these amounts, so for instance, even though you can get up to $20,000, it really might not be enough to have a decent standard of living while in school. So let's see in our upcoming videos if there are other provinces that provide great free funding for full-time students that also come with a decent cost of living. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.